All right. Good day, Blab. Hey, everybody. It's your girl, Hotep Sophia, also known as Dominique Rebel. And you are tuned into Good Day, Blab, where we take the news straight from the Blab timeline. I'm going to attempt to make these shows like about 30 minutes. And we're just going to try and do Tuesdays and Thursdays, put these shows out around 12 o'clock. We'll see what we can do. If you have a infant slash toddler, then you know sometimes these things are a little bit unpredictable, but that is the goal here. And there has been a lot of stuff going on online, but at the same time, there's been a lot of nothing. So there's a lot to talk about, and yet, as usual, there's not much to talk about. So we're going to do our best to make this at least mildly exciting. So hold on to your hats, kids. And today I'm using my computer to scroll through, which I prefer not to use my computer to scroll through. I usually um, use my iPad, but it was like too much stuff going on right now. So this is what we got. Of course, you can see all about the little stuff that I have going on. I'm still not doing any major advertising for that yet, but it is coming probably the start of the year as soon as I can get myself together. So let's see. This is a fact. This is people are starting to notice that things are not right. Okay, and so as a result, you have more and more people questioning Trump and his platform. And I guess to start the show, I should sort of think about or talk about a little bit of what I have been seeing with this and what I my current position is on this whole thing. So like uh based on some research that's been done by the conclave at Aim for Truth, aimfortruth.org, or find them on Gab at Gabriel's Horn. And if you look on my Gab timeline, which is listed on hotepsophia.com, um, you will see that some time ago the discovery was made that one of the executive orders on the pandemic actually ended up being backdated, which, if you know anything about government operations, that's not allowed. That is totally illegal. And the timing of that executive order by Trump that was backdated coincides in it came the executive order was really issued after Charles Lieber, the nanobot guy from Harvard, was arrested, but it was backdated to before he was arrested. So you can see clearly right there, there's something to do with this guy, Charles Lieber. And he has a lot to do with this technology that's in, the or whatever. I'm not allowed to say that word anymore. And if I say it at all, then I'll forget the whole show. And I don't know where this is streaming to. So hopefully, eventually these will get on YouTube until they ban me. But long story short, there's something funny going on with this executive order. And then also, another issue is this Operation Warp Speed, which gave them permission to lay down um the technology, the firewire, whatever lines. I'm not a tech person, so look, that's the best I can explain it. To lay down the lines for making the country a smart country. This is also the problem with DeSantis because apparently Florida is going to be the first smart state. That's a huge problem. So you have all of these problems with, these things that are allegedly good, but at the same time, you have people like Cliff High and Bix and some of the others that are saying, the people who are otherwise respectable saying, you can't take Trump at face value, and this is what's going on, and that's what's going on. And I totally get all of that. But I do have a problem with these two things, the Operation Warp Speed and also this backdating of this executive order. So I don't know what to make of this. Now, you add in, there's a guy who's been going around. He does I'm not sure I have it retweeted today, but if not, I'll try to remember to bring it up on Thursday. But you have this guy that's going around discussing the like the reverse language of different politicians and what can be brought out from what's being said and all of that. And so you have that information starting to bubble around the internet, and it's showing that in most cases, except for this interview with Candace, he's not lying. But then, of course, this interview with Candace, he is lying because he knows what the things are doing to people when he says out of his mouth that they're not. So that was obviously a lie, and it came up in the reverse language that it was a lie. So you have a lot of stuff going on. About all of this. And so I talked to some, normal people over Christmas, and normal Trump supporters, average Trump supporters. And they said, the people in the streets are still saying, look, he might not be perfect, but he still did more than anybody else did. And I think sometimes, especially on Blab, we have an echo chamber of people who are just like, good is not good enough. Okay is not good enough. And I believe that to an extent, but at the same time, you have to have something. You can't, your choices can't be nothing. So I feel like with a lot of these politicians and stuff like that, even though the choices are not great, um, unless the system is entirely collapsed under its own weight, which is entirely possible, you still have to deal with the system. So you have to have people who can deal with the system within the system, which means they're going to inherently have a level of corruption around them, because you have to be somewhat corrupt in order to be elected. And if you've ever run for office, you know this to be a fact. There's no way to do this without getting your hands dirty. It's just not possible. So you want to get your hands dirty in the legalist way possible so it doesn't come back to you. Or you want to do it in such a way that you don't end up blackmailed by somebody for whatever. There's lots of little things that can come up, and that's a matter of the integrity of the United States and there being zero and people having no desire to do right. That it just doesn't exist. So you have a lot of these little problems. So the way, in my opinion, the way to deal with this is you have to have some people working on the inside, and you can support them from a distance. Meaning, you pull a black people and a Jesse Smollett situation where you support them with your silence. You just don't say anything. If anybody saw the uh, live stream that I did with the guy Sotomayor, that's exactly what I did. And he made a comment in the thing that I was angry. No, it's that I needed to be quiet. I don't disrespect black men in mixed company. I don't know how anybody else does, but I have a black man and I have a black son. So I don't disrespect black men in mixed company. I don't do it. So if I feel like I'm going to be disrespectful, I just shut my mouth, because I don't disrespect black men in mixed company. I don't disrespect black men at all if I can help it. I just be quiet, because what else can you say? There's nothing else you can say. And I don't disrespect black men. I have a black father. I have a black man. I have a black son. I don't disrespect black men. I do not. So that is to say, sometimes you can support people with your silence. I mean, you don't have to say anything bad about them, but you don't have to say anything good about them. And I think that's going to be the best strategy to get through this, because there are some people working through the political system, and I think that does have an impact, because a lot of the information that was found out, and I'm not going to go on too much more about this because it's already been a few minutes, but a lot of the information was found because of congressional records. So you do need people in Congress who are willing to put this type of stuff on the congressional record for someone to find in the future. So that's important, and I definitely see the importance in that. However, I don't think it's the only way to attack the situation. So I think as people on Gab, we have to have a two-pronged approach. One side is supporting these people with our silence, meaning letting the people that everyone's calling grifters now, MTG, Gassar, Wendy Rogers, all of them, Bo Burt, whoever, let them, do their thing, make their statements, whatever the case may be, but just be silent about it. Like your disagreement with it. You don't have to be so vocal about it. You can just not support them. Like, just whatever they're doing, you don't agree with. When they say something really stupid, then you go and say something about it. For example, I saw that Wendy Rogers actually started to make original content for Blab, because a lot of people were commenting that she's just taking her posts from Twitter and putting it on Blab, and people were upset about that. So I started to notice that she was making original content for Blab. That's because people said something about it. So I think that our comments do work when we address them to the politicians. But on the same side, I think that the way to get them to continue to support our ideas is not to attack them so heavily, but to just be quiet about it. Meaning, if it's something that doesn't directly affect you, then you just kind of like sit back and you just let it go on. And while you're still working the plan from a different perspective. So you don't just let them get away with it. You just take a different approach. And I think that one thing that we can learn from how Jesus operated is that he did take different approaches with different people, and people took different approaches with him. Every approach didn't work. So, for example, you had one of the women who just touched the hem of his garment, and that was what caused her to be healed. And he noticed it and he said, "What? Who touched the hem of my garment?" He's surrounded by all these people, but it was only one person who did it with intent. So, and that's one example. Then you have another example where the guy came in through the ceiling. Like his friends lifted him up there, and then he came in through the ceiling. That's another, much more bolder strategy than the touching of the hem. But both got a response, the response that they wanted. So you just have to know when you touch the hem, and you have to know when to come in through the roof. And there's different times for that, and you can figure them out if you just kind of read the room and see what the issue is. Like, anyway, we'll probably come up with some stuff. So that's my take on what's going on. I think that, Trump knows he's losing support, which is why things are starting to ramp up in a different kind of way. But I don't think that you're going to have Trump come out and say bad things about the thing, because the thing, that's a good way to describe. He's not going to come out and say bad things about the thing, because then that's going to undo all the cognitive dissonance that has been built up from the last however many months with now it's been little piece by piece. Solely it's like, oh, it's Trump. Oh, it's Trump. It's Trump's thing. It's Trump's thing. It's Trump thing. And now what does Bite Me say? Oh, well, the states have to figure it out. So basically now they can't, the whole issue is totally negated, because they can't blame it on Trump, because Bite Me just said the states have to do it. There's no federal response. You can't say there's no federal response and still be blaming Trump. So now they have to just, how do you deal with that cognitively? These people are already